Hi, my name is Bret Groendyke. I'm the Fire Marshal for the City of Holland.
And I'm David Wolffis. I'm the Training and Safety Officer here.
So today, we're going to take some time and answer some of the burning questions that have been put before the fire department and try to give you all some answers.
Well, we're going to try anyway. All right, Bret, ready?
Sure.
So first question, is it true that the fire department charges you for their service if you call them?
No. No, we don't charge people for our service. You already paid for our service with your taxes, and so everything that we do is already covered. All right, David, I think I've got a good one for you here. Well, this is a good one. Don't firefighters just fight fires? Why are they staffed full-time?
Actually, we do a little bit more than that. In fact, a lot more than that. Most of our calls, about 70 to 80%, are medicals. So if someone's having chest pain, trouble breathing, maybe they passed out, we'll show up. Typically we get there faster than the ambulance because we have more stations than the ambulance in the county. And we'll start our basic medical care before the advanced life support units get there. We also do fire inspections. We do a lot of community involvement events, visiting schools, going to elderly care facilities, that kind of stuff. So pretty busy place.
I'd say.
All right, ready for the next one?
Sure.
Do you have fire boats, and how often do you have water rescues?
We do have a fireboat. Our fireboat is in our organization. The way that the county numbering system goes, our fireboat is 1182. And so that is the boat that we have. It's docked down there by the boat works. And that boat goes out on, it doesn't have a pump on it, so it doesn't spray water. But the boat goes out for water rescues. I'd say this time of year we start getting more common water rescues. Mm-hmm. I think that's fair to say.
Yep.
I'd say from now until usually about September, we average, unfortunately this is not a good thing, but I would say we go out maybe once every week and a half. About once every 10 days I would say we have some sort of a water rescue, but it's not uncommon to have one or two in a day.
Yeah, it's pretty weather dependent, like depending on which way the wind's moving and
Yep.
how the waves are going. Sometimes we're going out there nonstop.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. And it's for a variety of different things. I mean, last week we went out just because somebody was in a small kayak and they'd been blown offshore, and we brought them back in and everything was good. Everybody was happy.
Very good. You're up.
Sure. All right. It's a one-part question. With more and more electric cars on the road, how will you fight a battery fire? And also, explain the intensity of a battery fire.
Well, battery fires are a new challenge. Certainly we're getting a lot more electric vehicles and battery-powered vehicles in the city. One of the challenges we face there is water and electricity obviously don't mix. So the struggle with that is trying to not necessarily put the fire out, but removing things from the burning material. The downside is now we've got parking garages under buildings. We've got a lot of battery-powered items inside homes. So the challenge definitely comes with trying to move the fire away from the building and other things that we don't want to burn. And then obviously that material that's burning is going to set the building on fire. It's going to set another car on fire. So not only do we have to try to isolate the issue, but we got to put out the collateral damage as well.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And the things that hold energy are fairly volatile when they burn, and they're fairly aggressive. And so that's why you see, for example, with some of those battery-powered scooters, like the intensity and how quickly that fire spreads and escalates is because there's a tremendous amount of energy stored in there, and it's all released at once in that thermal runaway event. And it will, as David just explained, spread to everything else around it if it's not contained. Battery-powered vehicles require a lot more water just because there's a lot more fuel, and they need to be completely put out because if any of those, depending on the design of the vehicle, if any of those batteries are able to reignite and go into thermal runaway again that weren't burned off, they can do that. It's possible.
Yeah, one of the challenges we face with those things is they don't just go out and stay out like most other things. They'll reignite for days, sometimes weeks afterward. And then this is a good time to talk about too, having smoke detectors near where you charge your batteries.
Oh yeah.
Don't charge them in extreme heat, extreme cold, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Certainly anytime you leave the house, unplug a charging station.
Anything that's lithium ion. I won't charge anything that's lithium ion unless I'm home. Never charge anything, especially those mobility things like the scooters, never around a doorway or a place where you're going to run out. That's the last place you'd want to be charging something like that, because those fires are so fast and aggressive. And things to look for before the fire would happen is unusual odors, sudden deformation of the vessel that the battery is contained in, so anything that'll change shape, that looks like it's going to rupture, excessive heating on the device. It feels very, very hot to the touch, like you can't touch it. Those would be indicators that you've got a problem with it.
Yeah, and you don't want to take your charger and plug it into a power strip that's got 6 other things in it and plug it into the wall. Plug that charging unit directly into the wall, monitor it while it's charging, and don't leave it plugged in longer than it needs to be.
Absolutely. I think that covers almost all of them in here. I think we
ready for the next one? We hit all our fire
We just hit all of them. That's all of them right there.
All right, we're out of here. All right, what can residents be doing better or advocating for to support the fire department?
Oh man, what could the residents be doing?
Yep, or advocating for to support us. Man. We have a couple things just in terms of response that can help us, though, making sure your address is visible from the
absolutely.
street.
Address visible from the street. We've got a program that if people don't have address numbers on their home, we can work with you on that, and that's not a problem. Just reach out to the fire office. Have we said what the phone number is down there yet?
No, but it is 616-355-1020.
Yep.
And you can let Nicole know at the desk what you're looking for, and she'll be happy to help you out. Yeah, some other things, obviously, is having working smoke detectors. Fires grow so quickly nowadays that if you don't have a working smoke detector, it's going to be another minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes before windows start to break and the smoke starts to get outside, and now the neighbors are calling. Yeah. And at that point, it's off to the races by the time we get there.
Yeah. And I'd say because there's so many different ways to look at this, right? Like you could look at when the fire is actually occurring versus before the fire. So like before the fire, an address sign, making sure that you've got good working smoke detectors, as we were kind of chit-chatting there earlier with the battery issue, making sure that you're not doing things that would cause a fire. If you saw an issue with a battery, one of the best things you could do is not smoke anymore. Don't smoke cigarettes. It's not helping anybody. So like smoking is the second leading cause of fires, continues to be right at the top in our city in terms of residential fires. So if you want to prevent fires and support the community and have people not go to fires anymore, eliminating smoking would be one way to do it. And then, gosh, how else?
I mean, one of the things we run into is just being aware while you're driving for emergency vehicles. Yeah. It's pretty often that we'll run into a lot of traffic, and a lot of times it's hard to know what to do. So couple basics, right? Be aware of your surroundings like we mentioned. Oh, yeah. When an emergency vehicle is approaching, you need to pull over to the right side of the road. Sometimes it's tempting to go to the left, but the right side of the road, and then stop. That's one of the biggest things we see people fail to do is they think, well, I moved over to the right, and there's 2 lanes there for that fire truck to go by, so they have plenty of room, and they'll keep going in the right lane. But the problem that they don't know is we're trying to turn right, and they keep going. Into a street,
I think we've all been in that situation before where somebody keeps going, and then the people behind them think they can keep going, and it causes a problem.
And a lot of times, too, if there's one emergency vehicle coming, there's more behind it. Yeah. So keep an eye out for that as well. Yeah. All right, you're up.
I'm up. I got this one. You ready?
Lay it on me.
All right. What do you do all day long when there are no fires?
Ooh, that's a good one for the training guys.
I celebrate when there's no fires.
It's a nice day because there's so much to do, right? Trainings, inspections, community involvement events. We've got no shortage of things to do. A lot of the times, right in the morning, we're doing our truck checks, we're doing our AED checks, we're making sure our SCBA, our breathing tanks are ready to go, going through each set of our gear to make sure that's ready to go. So there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. And then you do a lot of stuff on the fire prevention side, the fire investigation side. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah. We're out there, and just before we came down here, we were out completing a couple of different inspections at local business. And that's just the normal day, right? So inspections, education, prevention, even investigations. So like even after the fire's out, there's plenty more that still has to be done in terms of trying to figure out how that fire happened. And then if anything needs to be done from a prevention standpoint or something that we need to go out and if we learn something new from that fire that we can educate people on. So I mean, it's just constant. There's not like true downtime. You're always just waiting for that, whatever the next call is going to be, and it could be at 1 o'clock in the afternoon or 1 o'clock in the morning. You just got to be ready to roll.
And not to mention that our crews are here for 48 hours. So 2 days and 2 nights around the clock. They got to eat, they got to prepare meals, they got to clean up the station, they got, everything from buildings and grounds maintenance to vehicle maintenance to some extent. There's a lot going on.
Yeah. It's your home. You live there for 48 hours and you happen to also work there and run fires and respond to medical emergencies and car crashes and water rescues and everything else that we talked about. You just happen to live there and take care of it. It's actually a very good setup.
It's a busy place.
It is a busy
nice.
place. It's a good setup. It's a good setup.
All right, let's see what we got here. You're kind of a movie guy.
I'm a movie guy? All right. Let's see what
you got a face for movies.
We're both on the thing, so I mean,
Will firefighters rescue a cat out of a tree like in the movies?
Oh, I have. Have you ever rescued a cat out of a tree?
I haven't. I know we typically don't, but it's always tempting because we do want to help. But
yeah, so I don't know because you are correct. I have watched films, and what I don't understand is like where this came from. Yeah. And because it's it's an American thing.
Came
right?
from the movies.
It did clearly, evidently. Somebody came up with it somewhere, but no. So, but in the real world here, we've gotten cats out of trees, and interestingly enough, on the same shift, this was a couple years ago, we got not one but 2 cats out of 2 different trees, and I imagine that they've gone on to live full, rewarding lives.
Full, happy lives.
Yeah, ever since then. 9 lives, as it were.
Yeah, and like I said, we love to help. Sometimes it's just, getting a cat out of a tree, while we view that as important. Yeah. We might be going to help, a neighbor with a heart attack or something else going on. Yeah. So it's always something that we try to get to it if we can, but we can't always do that. But if we can't, we try to get, our dispatch center is great at finding the right person to help.
I got to read one now?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Oh, this is a good one. Are your fire stations staffed 24 hours a day?
Yeah, so the City of Holland has 3 fire stations. We primarily operate out of 2 of them, those being our Waverly Fire Station at Waverly and 32nd and our Collin Park Station right across from the park itself. We do have a joint fire station with Park Township, which is on the south end of Lake Mac, closer to Lake Michigan, and that is not staffed. But at the Collin Park Station, we've got 3 people around the clock 24/7, and then Waverly ranges a little bit. There's anywhere from 2 to 3 or 4 firefighters there 24/7. So we're seeing a lot more full-time staff in the county, the 21 fire departments in the county. But it used to be there was only like 3 fire departments in the whole county with full-time staff. Yeah. What we're seeing right now is a change because paid on-call firefighters are so hard to find that a lot of places now, even rural areas like Crockery, Zeeland Township, they're putting on full-time staff. Yeah. So
the times they are changing.
Yes, they are indeed.
They are.
All right. Why does the big fire engine show up when someone calls for medical assistance?
Why does the big fire engine show up when
Why not take that little one you got?
Why does the big fire truck show up? So that truck has got everything on it to deal with whatever crisis may occur right after that medical call. So that truck's got the water on it, that truck's got the extrication tools on it, it's got all the EMS equipment on it. That truck goes on EMS calls because that's not the only incident that truck is going to respond to. That truck, speaking from experience, and I imagine you've been there too, I've been on just having to help somebody that had fallen, some sort of a lift assist type event, and we go right from there right to structure fire. Or you'll go right from some sort of a medical emergency right to a water rescue. Yep. It's got the cold water suits on it. Whatever is going to happen next, that truck has got people that are trained to deal with it and the equipment that's going to be needed to respond to whatever the situation is. So that's why the big truck goes.
Yeah, we run 4,000 calls a year now, so it is not uncommon. In fact, I'd say it's a daily occurrence for us to go from one call to the next.
Yeah.
And we never know what that next one's going to be. Let's say we go to a medical and then a fire comes out down the road. If we're in our little pickup truck, we now have to drive all the way back to the station, get in the fire truck, get our gear on, go all the way back to the fire, and it's doubled, tripled, and sometimes more in size.
Yeah, and it's not, having all of that available immediately is a real benefit. I hope people would understand that.
Yeah, essentially a fire truck is a big toolbox,
Yeah.
right? And by bringing the bigger one, we have more tools available. Sometimes we'll get to a medical emergency and we can't get through the door.
Yeah.
So we've got to use some force to open it up.
Yep.
Sometimes we get there and what we thought was a difficulty breathing call, what dispatch called as a difficulty breathing call,
Yeah.
we get there and there's a significant carbon monoxide leak.
Yeah,
and we
that's
need
exactly
air,
right.
we need breathing
Air-
apparatus, we need
and
fans.
air monitoring,
Yep,
all of that
kind
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jinx.
So,
Yeah.
I don't have to say anything else now, right? All right, I
No,
think
it's
you're up.
true though. That's
Yeah, it's
all
big.
that stuff is on there for a reason. So, the things you think about.
Yeah, now you know.
Now you know.
All right, you're up.
I'm up? Okay. All right, you ready?
I'll try.
All right, this is a doozy. What's the most common cause of a house fire? We'll start there. It's a two-parter.
Oh, that might be a fire marshal question.
Well, I know, but now this will show if I'm a decent educator as well as a decent fire marshal.
Well, I know our big ones are electrical,
Yeah,
kitchen
yeah,
fires,
yeah.
and smoking. And I believe kitchen fires is number one.
Yes.
It does flip-flop
I can't
every
say
couple years.
no,
So.
but the leading cause for last year has been people leaving stuff on top of the stove.
Yep.
And then turning the stove on.
And sometimes it's not the people turning the stove on.
Sometimes it's the dog.
We've had a lot of dogs turning stoves on. They try to get to the food on the burner, and then they turn the burner on, and it's off to the races.
And it's awful. It really is. I mean, we've seen people lose pets, and they lose their home, and it's just please don't leave stuff on top of your stove. If there's one thing we can kind of take out of this whole thing is please clean your stove off, and that's everything, right? So like, I got pots and pans. Those things they get hot, and that transfers heat energy to the other things around it. So please do everything you can to take everything off the top of your stove.
And then electrical's on that list too, right? So like we talked about before, don't plug in space heaters to power strips. That's not what they're built for. Power strips handle pretty small loads, so things like a TV monitor, a cell phone charger, those are all fine. But anything that produces heat, like a toaster oven or like we said, a space heater, don't plug those into power strips.
Yeah.
The other thing we run into with electrical, we talked about it before, is lithium-ion batteries.
Yeah.
Battery chargers draw a lot of power. You want to plug those directly into the wall.
Yeah.
You want to talk about smoking a little bit?
Oh, I would. Yeah. So it's the top three causes. Interestingly, so stuff being left on top of the stove, and then smoking coming in at number 2, and then number 3. Electrical causes, which is fairly encompassing. It could be something weather-related where you get a wire problem on the outside of your house, to mice that decide they're going to live in your fuse box in your basement.
It is Mormon toasty in there.
Yeah, and so there's a number of different things that cause fires, but those 3 causes. Now the second part of this, I can offer it up. Does that change often, or has it been the same for a while? The only thing that really feels like it has changed is seeing stuff being left on top of the stove coming in hot at number 1, because that seems to be, I don't feel like I've experienced that relatively. That seems like a new thing in my career.
I think we're seeing a lot more people, the grandparents are moving in, or the family from out of town's moving in to live with them because of housing situations or economic conditions or whatever it may be. So more people in the same amount of space, bringing more stuff. Storage is a little bit short, and things end up on counters for the long term, not just the short term.
Yeah.
So
and I get it, right? Like the kitchen, you're walking into your kitchen first. Most of the time, you're coming home from wherever it was that you were out doing and whatever you had going on, and you're walking in the kitchen first. You want stuff out of your hands, and so stuff winds up on the stove. And it seems to be that transitional point between other parts of the house. I've seen laundry baskets set on top of a stove that has caught fire. People that ran out of counter space, so they took unused, or what they thought were unused burners, and put plastic appliances on top of there.
Pizza box with the pizza
box,
in it, right?
Pizza box with the stuff still in it, and that attracts animals. But yeah, that seems to be one that would be, I think we can all like personally combat that one in whatever way that we can. But so that I would say, does the cause change? That seems to be the one.
Yeah, that's kind of the new one.
That's a newer
Yep.
thing, and we just got to educate more on it. So this is good that we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's good that we're talking about stuff like this because
You heard it here first.
No, it's good. That's important.
All right, let's see. Oh, I wanted this one.
Did you? I can read it to you if you'd like. It's not too late.
Yeah, lay it
all right,
out.
All right, here we go. Ready? Will the new fire station at 32nd and Waverly have a fire pole?
I would love to see a fire pole. The downside of that is it's only one story.
That is, yeah.
So, great idea, poor execution.
But will it have the historic fire pole that presently occupies the space?
Yeah,
in there?
a couple guys from A-Shift are working on polishing that up, and we're hoping to get it in either the Waverly Station or the Collin Park Station. I think it's actually from the Collin Park Station, so we'll see where it ends up. We've got a lot of historical things that we're going to get. And I know Waverly Station's going to have a game well box.
Oh, yeah.
Back in, what was it, the early 1900s or so, those were stationed around the city, and if there was an emergency, they'd pull the lever, and the fire department would just get the information of
Call box. Yep.
call box 21 was pulled. They'd look on the map, and that's at the corner of Maple and 11th, and they'd head there not knowing what they're going to, but they'd handle it when they got there.
That's right.
Pretty neat.
Yeah.
All right, Fire Marshal, you got any full-time job openings?
I think, do we? No,
Well,
we've gone through that.
We're in the process, but it's closed right now. So,
it is, yeah.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you can't apply.
No,
and we'll hang on to your.
We'll have more in the coming years.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't apply. It means just that there's not one open today. So keep an eye out and keep an ear out.
Yep.
And
It's a growing place, so
I would
there's always
say
work to do.
I would say the best place to look would be online because correct me if I'm wrong here because I haven't applied here in a while, but it's all online now, I believe.
Yep, everything's online, cityofholland.com. That'll get you
it's
started
all-
there.
Yep. Yeah. Terrific. Okay.
I got one more for you. If I call 911 in the city, what should I expect the response time to be?
I would say, well, the response time is going to be anywhere between 4 to 6 minutes.
Yeah, we get most places in that amount of time.
Yeah, anywhere about 4 to 6 minutes. But that depends. So there's a whole process, right? Like you call 911, the call is received at the county dispatch center. They go through a question and answer process from the caller. They're in the process of then dispatching that call on that end. And so like from a drive time standpoint, 4 to 6 minutes. But there's variable time dependent upon how good the information is that you're giving the dispatcher, then the dispatcher getting that sent out as they're going through their question process. So it is variable, but our drive time, barring traffic parades, weather, trains. I don't know why I said parades, but trains,
you're more of a
weather.
train guy, really.
Yeah, a little bit of that. But yeah, those are the things that would be obstructive around town that are going to cause different traffic. That's probably the best one.
And some of the things that can speed the process up is knowing your address.
Yeah.
You got to know where you're at. A lot of times people are like, well, I go to this church. Well, what's the address? I have no idea, right? Usually if you know a business name, that is helpful, but dispatch still has to look up the address. And they're pretty quick at it. They're pretty good with it.
They can pinpoint you.
But sometimes all the information that they get is that I'm by a pink house.
Yeah.
There's a few pink houses in the city. So that can slow things down. Know what street you're driving on. Sometimes people are in a crash and they have no idea that they're on Van Raalte at 16th Street. So that certainly helps. And just remaining calm the whole time, because not only will dispatch ask you questions to help figure out where they need to send responders and which ones they need to send, but they'll be giving you instructions on how you can help someone who needs it if you're willing to do so.
Yeah, that's the important part, right? Is that in between time from whenever the problem, the crisis happens, to getting the truck there, or whatever equipment is needed there are things that can be done.
Yeah, and dispatch does a phenomenal job at what they do.
Absolutely, absolutely. But they can talk you through CPR. I mean, if there's somebody that's not breathing and that you believe to be in cardiac arrest, they can talk you through that process. They can They can talk you through some basic first aid type things in terms of if somebody has chest pain and they believe that there's any sort of a cardiac reason for it, taking aspirin, for example. There's a lot of things that it's not just you standing there holding the phone waiting, right? Like they're getting, they're trying to prompt you to do things before you can get help, which is in effect more people to help you with whatever your problem is.
Yeah, it takes a team to have successful outcomes, and a lot of times you're part of that team. So we appreciate any help that the public gives us. Certainly don't put yourself in harm's way. Listen to the dispatcher and follow their instructions, and we'll be there in 4 to 6 minutes. So, all right.
Do I read this one? I read the last one? All right. Are you ready? Oh, okay. When will there be a firefighter edition of the city calendar?
I heard we were going to do one as soon as the tech services department does one.
Really?
Yeah, it should be probably this fall maybe.
It was after them.
Yeah, right after them on the schedule.
Yeah, it was. Okay, so.
Looking forward to it.
All right, can't wait. That'll be fun.
All right.
Well, we're hoping that this was educational and that we were able to answer as many of your questions as we can. And as always, this is an open dialogue. And so if more things come up and you want to know more from us, feel free to connect with us on any of our social media, anything through the city, email, or call us. And we can always offer you more on what we know from there. You got anything, David?
That's all I got. Thanks for hanging out.
Thank you.
See ya.